Hey everybody, welcome to PaulPrograms. So with Game Jam season coming upon us, figured now would be a good time to break everyone out and go over some things that'll help make your jam just a little bit easier from physical to software. So let's start with you programmers. Everyone else, you can leave the room for the moment. Alright, good. Alright, now they're gone, I really wanted you guys to know, programmers, that you're my favorite child, so keep that on the hush hush. After all, we have the tools, we have the talent. So let's get started with some of the physical things you actually want to consider when you're preparing for a game jam. Alright, so the first and most important thing for any developer during a jam is to have a computer, basically. You're going to need something to actually code on. So you want to make sure you have your machine of choice, that it's up to spec, that it'll be able to do basically what you need it to do. After that, you're going to be jamming for quite a long time, 48 hours straight in a traditional game jam. So to make things a little bit easier, I usually recommend bringing a mouse and a keyboard. These will make it a lot easier to type, and you're not hunched over your laptop's keyboard or trying to work with a mouse pad when you're actually trying to code. Some other things you might want for comfort, maybe some wrist rests. These will help in terms of giving your wrist some comfort while you're actually working. Pillow helps in case you need to put something behind the back or neck for comfort. But basically, the most important thing is to be comfortable. If that involves listening to music, make sure you have headphones. Also, you want to make sure the most important thing is to have plugs, because a laptop without power is not going to help anyone. If there are any other devices you have, make sure you bring spare batteries, or you bring a portable battery so you can charge your phone or any other devices you may be using. All right. Now you want to make sure you have also any extras you may need. So if you're working on a game and need a controller, make sure you have controllers available. If maybe you're working on a mobile title, make sure you have a mobile device or several for actually deploying or running your game on. In case you need to take notes, you'll want to have a notebook with a pencil, or so this way you can write any ideas or things that come to mind as you go, because faster than trying to pull out an app or type notes. But it's all really preference. The most important thing for all this stuff is to have something to carry it in, because carrying things in your hands leads to nothing good. So make sure you have a bag that can fit everything you're bringing with you to the jam. And with that covers the hardware side of it. So now let's move on to software. All right. Every developer has their preferred tools, be it Unity, Unreal, Core, Visual Studio, Notepad++. Doesn't really matter what your preferred tool is. What does matter is that it's installed on your machine. And you also want to make sure that you have any current updates and you're up to the latest version that you plan on using. You don't want to waste time during a jam trying to install updates and figure out like what you need, what you don't need. You want to have it all on your machine in advance. Along those notes, you also want to make sure your operating system's up to date. You don't want to run into an issue where all of a sudden you're trying to update your operating system because Windows decided to push massive updates, or Apple made some change for no reason at all, and you don't know how your internet's going to actually be at a jam site. Which also leads to making sure you have hardware for plugging in physically to an Ethernet port, because you may not always be able to connect to the Wi-Fi. That also goes for devices. Make sure you have the latest drivers, updates, and everything you need for your devices themselves, because the same issues you run into with an operating system or any software, you may not have the ability to update it, and when you need it, it's not going to be available for you. So that's why you want to make sure your software is up to date. When it comes to setting up your folders and things like that, every developer has their own preferred workflow. If there is a workflow that works for you, then make a template of your folder structure or the base files you want to use. Say you already have some something, a script you made for specific control types like keyboard and gamepad separate, you want to make sure all that stuff is prepped and ready to go, so you're not trying to find it and digging through folders when you actually get to the jam. You want to be able to just go and hit the ground running. The last bits I want to talk about are preparing for when you're working on a device too. If you're planning on doing a mobile game or launching on VR, you want to make sure that you've actually tested these devices on your hardware and you can deploy to them, and have your profiles, if you're working with Android, ready. So this way, all you have to do is just deploy to the device when it's time. You don't have to worry about trying to fumble, getting a device profile set up, making sure your device is in development mode. You don't want to run into any weird hiccups like that come with devices. So before you get to a jam site, make sure you can deploy even just a small project onto the device you're intending on working for, because it'll just provide no headaches toward the end of the jam where things sometimes can come apart. And pretty much with that covers the software side of things for you programmers. So hopefully this was helpful, and I will catch you next time. You can now send artists into the room next.